YouTube, what's going on? Cars, we're going to look at cars. Well, and trucks. Got to look at those trucks. So, some new acquisitions. We came across a lot of M2 over the past week or so. Hitting the shelves. I actually had a couple opportunities to buy some of the multi-packs, the ones with the trailers and stuff. But I found the singles to be more enticing. So, we're going to take a look. I got the Silverado. So we got that. We got 4x4 truck, a couple 4x4s, and we got a big heavy truck too. So let's take a look. But first, a gasser. I came across a Walmart exclusive gasser. Kind of goes with the bakery theme that we've been doing with some of the other cars. So this is kind of cool. This is one of 7,000, and I kind of like this because it had really good matching paint. This is the 67 Nova, so right before they changed the body style. Gasser. So it's got the stacks that are kind of asymmetrical that they do on those gassers. I always like that. Anodized. And then we have the red glass, which I thought was really cool, and then a very goofy tampo. But the gassers from M2 have been pretty nice. They roll decent. A lot of them will have issues, but the wheels and axles, these smaller wheels, the thinner ones, seem to go on much nicer than the bigger stuff. Plastic chassis on these gasser cars. They're not metal. Take a zoom real quick. This casting, the Deuce, the Nova Deuce, I kind of like it. I think it's obviously a little bit big. I don't think that first gen Nova Autoworld does this yet. Can't remember. I don't think they do. So that would be a good casting probably to come out from them. And I don't think Greenlight does this Nova body style either. So it'd be cool to see some stuff. Definitely Hot Wheels does it. We know that. Should probably get one down to just compare it to. Take this one down. They're very close. Actually, I think I thinking to myself this before. You can see that the roof line on the Hot Wheels is a little bit crisper in spots, but very thick. It's funny, they're very, very similar. Obviously, the Hot Wheels has a better attitude to it, but this is a little bit more correct. I mean, I would have had this more of a rake like this car. Of course, you have more detailed suspension. But Hot Wheels casting is awesome. Very similar in scale. Very similar. But here we go. Gasser. 67 Nova. Unopening hood too. So can't get that. If you need information, there you go. Alright. Let's go to the next one. We're going to go to my favorite subject, which is trucks. Definitely like the trucks. Got a sparse garage this time because I've been making the collection, trying to move it around and stuff. So, well, go from oldest to newest, I guess. So look at this, another four-wheel drive. This is a, what is this? What year is this truck? It's a 59. This is a GMC, not a Chevrolet. This one has the opening hood. You know, the two-wheel drive version of this body, the hood doesn't open. It's kind of like sealed. It's weird. But this is the full dress one where the opening doors and all that. So I like this body better. This is an earlier. This goes back a ways in M2's catalog. We've seen this a lot. But it's a great casting. No one really does this truck. 1/64 scale this well. There's been a lot of high detail 1/43 scales and larger, but this is probably the best, and I like to get these trucks if I can because these wheels and tires work really well with other stuff like Autoworld and Greenlight. Most likely Greenlight, though. It's too bad they don't collaborate with each other and do swap ideas in terms of what they do. Metal base. You can see when they attached it to the plastic base in here. They just really just hammered the base. Separate bumper, I like that though. The real vehicle had something similar. Those brackets, they weren't that big, but so I kind of like that. Let's take a zoom. So 59, 60, they were going to change the body. So this is kind of like basically, this is kind of like the Tri-5s. It kind of did the same styling evolution where they changed it, but the mid to late 50s, it kind of stayed the same. One of the big things, just like on the passenger cars, was they got rid of fenders. I mean, what I mean by that, they had, you know, the fenders that came out, but this is more like all down the side. There's no running boards exposed or anything like that. So it was brought in the new body, the new styling, where the whole body covers everything. Great color scheme. I love red and white trucks. This is kind of a fancy one with the trim and everything. 8-cylinder truck. A lot of them are 6s. And of course the 4-wheel drive system. So this one is a wider release. This is not a Walmart exclusive like that Nova. A lot of the hobby retailers have these. This one's one of 8875. So pretty well. I mean, you can probably find this. This one doesn't get scalped as much, I've noticed, which is good because I like those trucks. They do get bought, but they don't get bought. You know, a lot of guys, if they see the vehicle and it's one of, like, they had 3 of them, and there would be, like, say, a square body or a transport truck, they'll just buy all 3 of them, you know. They don't care if they're spending $50, $100. They just buy the whole thing. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, the black, it was the black lifted Chevy with the Camaro, the 3rd gen Camaro, the black Coke set. I saw 3 of them. I didn't get any of them. I got these instead. I should have just bought one, but I knew I'd kick myself, but I'm not going to dump all the dough in one day. I try to spread myself out through the month. So here is a really cool truck. 72 Ford. Right before they changed the body style. 8875. This is part of the release with the other trucks we'll be looking at. Unlike the GMC, which was green, this does have the packet or the color that matches the truck. So it has the custom wheels and tires. They had another truck like this. I think it was yellow, but it had the black rims, and I really prefer the white when they're using this early style. Now, I mentioned these tires before. They've been on the square body lifted and much more modern tire. It's too bad they couldn't do like a vintage 4-wheel drive tire. That would be cool if they tooled that, but I guess since they're doing kind of aftermarket stuff. Big block Ford in there. Well, I like to think there is. Seems like it to me. They do a really good job on that. Let's take a zoom. See if we can get in some of that detail. Also, the grille, no blemishes, so it's just rare. This was actually constructed very well. I didn't have to tune this up at all. A lot of times I have to take these cars apart and fix them. But this one was very nice. It's got that big, thick Ford cab that they had. Basically, mid to late 60s to that 72 mark to have this body. There's that last iteration of the grille. Offset on the wheels, a little inboard to my liking. This is not a retooled base. This is their regular 4-wheel drive base they've been using for a while. Painted a gloss black. I thought that was good. Sometimes they'll do like a semi-gloss or a flat. A little bit of a paint run there, not bad. This is showing up kind of mustardy on the camera. I don't know how it's going to translate, but in person it looks like a vintage Caterpillar yellow, which is awesome. I mean, this is really cool. I love that color. It's that dark, you know, that old cat yellow that they used to paint them as. So I really like this truck. Hopefully I'll find another one. I saw 2 of them at a time, but I just got one of each that I liked. Square body sometimes I'll get 2. So I like this truck a lot. This would actually look good with the other rims, the stock wheels on this truck, and then I might put this base on something else. But there we go. So we're looking at that Ford 72 Ford Explorer 4-wheel drive. Explorer is kind of more of a high trim package. The next truck we're going to look at is a 70 truck, 5500. I thought I'd go in order, but this is a 1970. So this is kind of like a fictitious truck. Although people in the aftermarket and the custom community have made trucks like this in real life where they'll put it on this medium duty chassis. Hold on a second. There we go. So we'll do this on the medium duty. I have another one like this. Over the years, M2 has released plenty of these like this. It is very cool looking. I couldn't pass up the green two-tone. I think that's really good. Again, a little light in the camera. This is more like a Kermit the Frog green in person. It is metallic. And it's chromed out. Some of these are painted. They'll paint the grill and bumper, but this one's chromed out, and I think it looks great. I'm not going to do too much to this. I might open up the flashing that was left in the wheels. But other than that, I'll just leave it alone. This one has the tampoed Goodyear on the rubber. So, yeah, these trucks have been done in real life. They look cool. The Ford does them. There's guys that do the Ford cab, and they'll do this too with it. So, unusual that they did the full depth bed. They didn't do these shallow beds like they do on the pickup trucks. So that's kind of cool about this too. And if you want to swap, these are cool because they paint these in like a private trucks, like not a commercial style paint job. So these look good as swapped on the heavy stuff. If you want to make like a custom haul or something, they have good colors for that. I think they did a red or white, they did a blue and white, they did a few of them. Alright, next we're going to look at a square body. And we've seen these before. I like this because it has flat blue. It's not metallic. A lot of them are metallic. So this is more factory looking. It's very nice. It was constructed well. I did swap out the tires for Greenlight tires. These are some of the nicer cast Greenlight tires that I've been saving. And the factory ones were kind of sloppy white walls. These sometimes look good, vice versa. Like it's sometimes when I'll put a Greenlight on these on an M2, and then these tires look good on some Greenlight cars because their tires are always really too big for their passenger cars. So I put these on the Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser and some other stuff. The Caprice, all those cars, they look good with the smaller tires. So kind of look you know, a guy had these rallies and he put some modern radials on it. So, but basically a stock truck. Bench seat, where Auto World is always a bucket seat arrangement. I like the bench seat. I think the bench seat would look good in some of the Auto World trucks. Of course, you had that shallow bed, but still a nice casting. This has the stock motor in it. They didn't do anything fancy. And the Cheyenne 10, so would have been a truck that had some equipment. You know, at least power steering, brake truck, or automatic. Sometimes they do air conditioning, things like that. 73, first year for this square body style. So really cool truck. Like the grill, had most of the cross hatching. So the grill on the 73's got a lot of detail. You can see they blacked out the headlight surrounds, which is correct. So they did a good job. Headlights look good. They're different. They're separate. So that's nice. So there's a lot of good detail on it. Blue on blue. You can see the tires look a little bit more modern. So kind of cool. I like this truck. I got two of them. One's in the package just because this one's the one I like a lot. Alright, so we're going to look at, after all these trucks, something different to the collection. I took a chance on this only because it was on sale. Usually not going to drop $50 to $70 on a 1/64 scale car. And this is what these resin cars go for. So we're going to look at a Neo. It's like a Chinese company, I think, or maybe a European. So here's the box. It comes in a nice acrylic box with a foiled background, so it's like a mirror. The car was screwed onto the base, and it gave those O-rings as spacers. So kind of interesting. So this retails for like 50, 60 bucks, something like that. So this was on sale, 50% off. I got it. They did a 59 Chrysler Imperial, and they did a 72 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, so I might get the Coupe de Ville. That came down to 20 bucks. I got this for about $23, which is great. This is not Diecast. This is Resin, and they can get higher fidelity with Resin than they can with Diecast. Limited edition, 1 of 500, so not bad for the limited. And I think they made this car in a couple of different colors. You can see right there. So, 77 Mark V. Lincoln Mark series dates back way long time ago, even from beginning of Lincoln. But the most one that people recognize as the birthplace is really the Mark II, which was 1956 and 57 hand-built vehicle by Ford Lincoln. And they lost money on those cars, but they're awesome. They're really pretty cars. You go Google one. They're really neat. So that kind of went on. Then 58 through 60, it was the Mark III through 5. And it was kind of like each year they do like a mark on top, like a trim. And then they retired it. And then at actually late 68 as a 1969 model, they re-debuted the Mark III, so they kind of like erased the history of the PEV 3, 4, and 5, and went back to the Mark II, which was quite the trendsetter. So this is a 77, first year for Mark V in the 70s after the reboot, and it's just a really cool car. It's kind of unique with Ford because typically the Mark series was sharing with Thunderbird chassis and componentry, but they downsized all those cars and the Cougar and all that stuff in 77. So this car really all the way to 79 was its own deal. And it got even more complicated, I guess, if any of you are Ford techs or whatever. This car had a lot of unique componentry to it, so it kind of made servicing it difficult sometimes. But this is incredible, very light. This car probably weighs like a couple of grams. Rubber tires, metal axles, no detail base. I took this car apart because the axles are very tight, and it kind of freed them up a little bit. They're still a little tight. It's not a free rolling car, but you could make it if you just spend a little bit more time under there, and I might do that. But it rolls okay. I'm gonna have to sure up the wheels, and the axles are a little loose, but they do roll true. And it's got the photo etched, and we'll get here. Let's get this. So there's your Lincoln insignia right there, and that's metal. I busted that off because it was crooked. It came crooked, so I tried bending it a little bit, and then it just popped off. But it luckily didn't do anything, so I reset that in there. So it's as straight as I could get it. There's kind of a deep hole it goes into. It's quite thick. It's not your typical photo etch, which is very thin and fragile. So this is the stuff, that part of the car that makes it cost so much money. The low production. These are pretty much hand done. I don't know if a computer does this, but they're hand molded and stuff like that. Factory paint codes, things like that. Look at the wheels. So they were doing these turbine wheels, Lincoln alloy, and alloy wheels were really coming on in the 70s as a factory option. Typically, not too many alloy wheels were done up until this point, most likely for cost, and they started to become more and more prevalent. Most of the time you get a luxury car is always hubcaps, and everybody thinks that's kind of base model stuff today. But back then, the hubcaps were basically what you did on anything, even expensive cars. I took this car apart. It's got a great interior. The seat's actually part of the base. The front seat and the back and everything's kind of separate in a bucket. So, but everything was put together good. It has the opera windows. A little bit of a blemish, but not bad. Again, it makes it better that you pay a little bit less for it. And really, no one does this car. There might have been some Tomicas and stuff like this with the Mark IV, but those were always grossly out of scale and very toy-like. This is an amazing car. It's got the fake Continental kit, as they'd call it, which is, you know, that was supposed to be back in the olden days where the spare tire was back there, and which on this car it wasn't there. It was, I think, below the package shelf or something like that. And this car is funny registration. When was I looking at this car? It said Maine. So I thought that was interesting. They do the dual exhaust, though, so that's cool. In all the states except California in 1977, the Continental Mark V came with the 460. The 400 was optional. The 460 was not available in California because emission standards were starting to finally tighten up. So it basically was a 460 big block Ford. There was a 400 offered. And again, this body style was 1979. 80, it downsized basically to the town car vehicle, the 80s town car, which was a two-door. They kind of lopped off the car and made it a two-door, so kind of that was the mark, and then it kind of went down, and then it finally got fame again when it got on the Fox body. So the Mark 7, that was a great car, and Google that one. So really cool vehicle. I think it's serialized. Did we look at this? No, they didn't serialize it. You can see the big screws right there. So really easy to play with and take apart. But it'll probably go back in the acrylic case just so when I dust it, I'm not knocking off the Lincoln hood ornament on there. It's hard to get that on focus. Hideaway headlights, all that jazz. This car had a lot of cool stuff, you know, automatic climate control and all that things that were kind of novel or coming on to their own back in the late 70s anyway. You can see how the grill hides into the bumper, and that was part of the Lincolns too. They did that. Just a cool car. Very, very cool. And it sizes up well with my other barges, my other land yachts. So there's our Caddy, which again, that was a big, big car. And also our Coupe de Ville. Can't forget that. Always nice to have the big cars out sometimes. So I would get all of them. I love them. Hopefully they make the Chrysler big cars. You know, the fuselage cars from Chrysler are just absolutely stunning. They're probably my favorite big cars of the 60s and 70s. Was the Chrysler. So I have nothing against these vehicles, but I would love to see them all lined up. I think that would be great. Of course, rear-wheel drive Caddies are fun too. Gotta like those. Well, we looked at some cars. We got more to come. More to come. We might do some bigger vehicles. But I hope you enjoyed this. I'm excited. Maybe I'll get some more resin cars if they're cost effective. But, well, hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, more to come. Thank you all much for your wonderful comments and new subscriptions. More to come for the channel. Absolutely. Till next time.